This will be a day long remembered. Now I am the master.
Welcome to another episode of Legends and Theories. And welcome to my review of the Marvel series Echo. If you have not watched this in its completion yet, do not watch this video because I will be discussing spoilers from it. And if you didn't know, all 5 episodes did drop, so the entire series is out. It's not going on a week by week basis. So if you only watched episode 1 and just exited out of Disney Plus without really checking, the entire show is on there. So let's first go into what I think about that. I think it kind of did work for this one. I feel like it wouldn't have worked as well as a week by week one where I feel like there was nothing really big besides the episode where Kingpin returned, which I believe was episode 3. That would have really been, appropriate for a break in episodes. But yeah, honestly, I think that the show was really solid overall. Wasn't my favorite, but I still think it was really good. I think it does have flaws. The last episode feels it just I don't know, can't exactly explain it, but it just didn't feel right. Like it just didn't feel like the last episode. I think that's mainly because they're setting up Kingpin for a bigger story with him going to run for mayor of New York, which is alluded to in the post credit scene. But really, besides that, it was just a really odd ending where Maya goes into his head. We get a bunch of flashes of stuff from his past, including what I haven't watched Daredevil in a few months. But I'm pretty sure is his room from Daredevil, which was officially confirmed to be MCU canon. I'm going to be doing a video based off of that probably next week, looking at, based off the fact that Daredevil is canon, what other Netflix and other Marvel shows would be considered canon. But just looking at Echo on its own, everything they did with Kingpin, and the single appearance of Daredevil in this, it seems that this all generally fits into the timeline that the Netflix show had. Although, of course, it has some development of him after where he decided to return to using the Daredevil suit after season 3 ended. So there is that small little development there. And really, besides that, it seems that this perfectly fits in. We have Fisk relating to how he killed his father and did it to protect his mother. We also have the fact that when they go into Fisk's mind, you get to see the white wall, which becomes something important to him in Daredevil when he gets a white painting. It does sound like Vanessa died because he did say that he lost someone important to him. So I am curious to see if that is Vanessa or if it is someone else. And yeah, honestly, I really enjoyed it for the stuff with Kingpin. I think he was really well done, and it was showing that there's also, like no real chance at redemption for him when she went into his mind and tried to save him. But yeah, that was a nice moment. I think that everything with her Native American heritage was also done really well. All I think was really odd. The only thing I did, have a little bit of a problem with was the very random inclusion of one of the ancestor stories, which was done as like a black and white movie. I just feel like that was just a really weird way to do it and have that be part of her history. Like that's just the one thing I found really weird. Besides that, everything with her heritage was done really well, giving her these abilities that will come in only times when she really needs it is interesting. I'm not really sure if that's from the comics or not, but it was still exciting. I think that everything really done with her was pretty good. I think it was just really weird for just how it ended because I don't know, the last episode just didn't feel like a finale. It felt like there was just so much more to that could happen. It just felt really, really odd. But as I mentioned just a moment ago, I think that my overall favorite part of this was Kingpin, and he was done amazing in this. The performance was perfect, and you definitely see that this could be the same guy from the Netflix show, where he just goes and he goes nuts on anyone who could slightly turn on him, but he really desperately wants those people that are close to him to still be there. And I think that it ultimately does make sense. I was kind of debating over this in my head for him to try and forgive Maya to have her take over. I think that there's something with his legacy, or he wanted to pin crimes on her or something. There's definitely something he wanted to do, but it was not super clear. I'm not sure if he was just trying to lure her back in and ultimately kill her himself after he got her to trust him, or if his offer was actually serious. I'm not, fully sure about that, but I don't think it was a serious offer since once she didn't show up, he went on a kidnapping spree and just kind of, went and kidnapped her family. It was a very 180 turn, so he definitely had some kind of revenge planned on her and was probably going to be framing her for something or just kill her once he got her to trust him again. I honestly really have no idea, but there was definitely some ulterior motive behind it. And yeah, honestly, I think that just the ending was just really weird because it has her going into his mind, and then just out of nowhere, the cops show up, and Fisk is on the run and just leaves. I'm guessing that he's just not really going to bother with her. What she did scared him enough to leave her alone. And then we have him wanting to go back and maybe just wanting to create a better legacy. Maybe that's what he wanted because he sees that thing about the mayoral race for New York. So I'm not really sure, but I think that this is going to be interesting to see. I just loved how brutal he was, and probably the one of the best scenes of it is just where he goes and beats the ice cream truck guy half to death because he was being rude to Maya, and that just felt like something he would totally do. I think the only way that could have been better and made it a perfect scene is if he smashed the guy's head in with a lid to the garbage can in reference to when he killed that guy in Daredevil. And the one thing I wanted to mention is I think it does make sense that he was active as a criminal and trying to build up his empire before Daredevil. Because although that's the first time he kind of came into the view of the public, there is no way that he just started setting this all up right after the Battle of New York. He just took that as his opportunity to grow and expand his empire. But he still did have good connections and had a decently sized empire but this also just help expands how big Kingpin's empire was. And yeah, honestly, I think that, as I said, my favorite part of this overall was Kingpin, and it was definitely the best part for me. I don't know what you think about that specifically, but I like the characters overall. They had good relationships with each other, although I think that some of them probably could have been a lot better developed. The one specifically between Maya and her cousin was something I feel like wasn't super well developed, and they said they were really close, but they didn't have too many interactions together. So this, made sense for the story, but when they were together, it never felt like they were super close. And although I did enjoy episode one, it was just really, really weird because it was more or less like a 30-minute long previously on. It went through a lot of stuff, we already knew about and expanded on a few things. That is where we got the really awesome fight between her and Daredevil, where it showed that Daredevil was a lot more skilled, and she went back and Kingpin's like, hey, he did better than basically everyone else that I've sent against him. Well, that one Fluchuk says he did send Bullseye against him, but Bullseye is trying to, well, kill him now. So I do wonder if that may be part of it, where he wanted to have Maya maybe as an extra line of defense against someone trying to get revenge because he has not really made too many friends and has made a lot of enemies. And the one thing about Kingpin is I've really been enjoying him, and although I'd love to see him face Spider-Man, I'm just really not sure because on one point it would be amazing, but on the other point is they have to tone it down a little bit because you can't have a rated R Spider-Man movie because they want to make as much money from that as possible. So Kingpin, if he does appear in a Spider-Man 4 or 5, will have to be toned down for that, but I really do want to see what looks like is going to happen based on rumors that they're going to have a bunch of the street level heroes built up and then eventually have them all go against Kingpin, who has become mayor. And I think that would be really cool. I'm assuming we'll be seeing at least Daredevil, Spider Man, probably Echo, and then whichever ones from the Defenders they decide to bring back, since it seems that at least Punisher's returning. Unless they change that because they're just completely redoing the Daredevil series. And I think the Daredevil series, with Matt being a lawyer, is obviously going to be him trying to prevent Fisk being elected to mayor. He will ultimately fail, and Fisk will take over New York and be the mayor. It'll probably be taken on either in Spider Man 4 or 5, or a big kind of like street level hero movie, maybe even have it be called The Defenders or something else. But honestly, I think that this looks really cool. I'm definitely excited for the future, but I think that this show is ultimately pretty good. It just had its flaw in that, well, the villain not only was the best part of it, and the character was, not the best part of the story, but we've had that before, and it still could make something great because Heath Ledger's Joker definitely outshines Christian Bale's Batman, but the Dark Knight is still such a great movie. I think it's the fact that Maya's relationship with her family was never really too developed on. She doesn't really spend too much time with them, but ultimately it is made to be one of the most important parts of her. So I think that they should have had just more scenes of her with her family besides, I believe it was Biscuit, which is also just a real name for a person. Well, it's a nickname, but it's just really weird that we never learned his real name. And I think that it's a solid show, but it does have its flaws. But I still enjoyed it overall, and I think it had a really solid story. I'll definitely be looking forward to watching this again, but that's mainly for Kingpin and less for Maya's story, but her story was still solid. I just think that the fact that, as I said, it's supposed to be so important about her family, but we don't really get to see too much of them besides, Biscuit and her, I think, uncle that also works for Fisk. That there's really, not too much that is developed with them, and it's supposed to be so important. I just feel like this maybe needed an extra episode so they could develop into that relationship between her and her family more. But it still is a solid series, and I want to know what you think. Please let me know in the comments, and also next episode of Legends and Theories. Thank you for watching this episode of Legends and Theories. Please subscribe, like the video, share the video, leave a comment, check out the video on screen, and may the Force be with you.